All right, so here's probably my last video of the year, and don't do another one until in the spring. I'm just gonna walk around and show what's kind of left here. This is a blueberry that did well, and I might be able to get fruit off it next year. And actually, in the same little area there is the one grape. This right here is the one grape cutting that I got to actually survive. Stick them in the ground and just a cutting, and the 6 of them died, and that one did stay green most of the summer. It's obviously dying back now, but I'm expecting that to grow back next year, maybe have fruit, if not next year, in 2 years. This is just the area where I had all the peppers and tomatoes and cucumbers and stuff. Obviously that's all just dying back now. And the apple trees over there pretty bare right now. The 2 apple trees that did well would be this one here, which is a Liberty, and I think I might get fruit off that next year. I have even higher hopes of getting some Golden Delicious off of this one. This one is now over my head. All 4 trees came the same height, which was about 3 feet above ground, and this is now over 6 feet. So I have high hopes to get that. Around each apple tree I planted garlic. I'm supposed to plant garlic in the fall, and if it comes up I'm going to have a lot, because I planted several cloves around each one, like about 10 around each tree. If it all comes up, I'm going to have garlic coming out of my ears next year. These are the tomatoes, where the Brandywine and a couple other different varieties, Early Girl and then a cherry variety. And talk about what I'm going to be doing with these in a second. And over here inside the pool area would be what's left of all the broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage. I've harvested all this by now. A couple of the heads of cabbage are still in my refrigerator. I do still have a few things growing. There's carrots, and I would pluck them up and show you right now, but I have a big bag of carrots in the fridge already, so I'm going to leave these in the ground. It's frosted a few times. Someone told me that I've heard in a couple places that carrots are sweeter after the frost, so one day I'll come out and pluck those. Kale is surviving in the cold weather. In fact, that one's thriving. Unfortunately, I just decided this year I don't really like kale, so they're just kind of ornamental. Everything else is dying back. That's the Swiss chard, that's dill. Here's the abundant tomatillo plants that I had. They're reduced to nothing now, and a whole bunch of tomatillos that didn't make it to maturity are along the ground there. More tomatoes. This is the one that has seeded itself the last 3 years, so with all the tomatoes I've got lying on the ground here, I'm afraid I'm going to have 100 tomato plants in the spring, which is okay. I'll just pull up the ones I don't want. I am going to cover that strawberry set and these strawberries with just a thin layer of mulch. The idea there is that only the strong ones will then come through the mulch next year. That's what someone told me, so I'm going to try that. And then what I'm going to do, I have my shredder here, is I'm going to chop all that stuff except probably the kale and all the stuff that's left, and put it through the shredder, and then use it as a fertilizer. Spread it around and maybe put a thin layer of mulch above that. And that's what I came up with there, about 2 wheelbarrows full of stuff. You can see over there now, all that's still standing there is kale. Behind there is actually 2 asparagus plants that I think I pointed out in another video that I'm hoping multiplies over in that area. I planted 12 and 2 of them came up, and hoping to have purple asparagus next year or the year after. And then I'm just going to go ahead and shred this stuff up. And all of those plants turned into that little pile of what I'm going to use as compost, as fertilizer. So I'm going to spread that out. And the idea here, of course, is that God fertilizes in the fall when he lets the leaves drop, and farmers errantly fertilize in the spring when it's too late, and they use chemical fertilizers, which are of course not good for us, but this is natural fertilizer. And as I spread this around and put wood chips over the top, nature will do its thing and create compost tea, and I should have even more fertile ground. From year to year I'm supposed to have more and more fertile ground, and so that's what I'm going to do. And there's the finished product there. There's where the strawberries used to be. They're underneath a nice warm bed of wood chips now. The other strawberries were right about there. And I did a little mulching over there, not as much as I did in these two areas here. And all ready for winter. Now, one other thing I wanted to share is when I got this pile of wood chips, it was like 25 yards. It's almost got it down flat now, almost time for more wood chips. And a friend of mine, thank you Dave Vanderluck for helping me moving all those wood chips last fall to again, that space, it's way over there, and then what's behind me here, and then this pile, and then really all around the yard. And just we're trying to get it done, so we just spread it as fast as we could. I came around later with a rake and pushed it all into place. And the wood chips that we got were there were some huge pieces, like this piece right here, like it's bigger than my hand, and was a bit of a obstacle to work around this year in the spring, trying to plant around that stuff. So what I came up with then was a screening system where I would use this chicken wire thing here that I built and just screen it into the wheelbarrow, put a few scoops on it, screen it in there. And then this is kind of my leftover pile, and this is a greatly reduced pile, and one that I just made today, because the pile that was here before, just by chance I decided, since I had the shredder out, that I would shred up that pile, and it worked great. It shredded into some nice fine mulch, and that's what I ended up using over there. A lot of what was over there, and some screen stuff too. So that's I bought that thing on Craigslist about a year ago. I think I used it once last year. I didn't use it at all this summer, but it was worth it today to have that. So here say goodbye to my garden. Signing off until next spring.